Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reading with Minakshi. Now, today we are going to be doing a very, very interesting article, and that is about Milkha Singh. So, stay tuned for that one, and let me quickly share my screen and start the session for today. So, as you know, Milkha Singh, also called as the Flying Sikh, he died recently, and let's see what the Economist has to say about him. On June 18th, he died, and so before his best race at the British Empire and Commonwealth Games in Cardiff in 1958. Now, this was just after India's independence. Milkha Singh was far under too much stress to sleep. So he was like really stressed. That day, he prayed, touched his forehead to the ground, and touched his forehead means, like Shashtang Pranam Karna, and promised to do his best. But the honor of India, he told God, was in his hands. So his country's honor was in his hands. And Commonwealth Games was all those countries which were under the British Empire earlier. So they were part of the British Commonwealth. That is why it was called as the Commonwealth Games. And this was, after all, the new India, independent of Britain only for a decade. Striving means fighting to win gold in games, whereas part of the empire it had never done before. So India had never won in its own, existence something like this earlier. On the track of the 440-yard sprint. Sprint means the running track. Sprint is running. So the yard that the track. Malcolm Spence of South Africa, the world record holder, was the man he was watching. So he was scared of that guy. But if he ran as he planned to, Spence was no danger. He was confident also. He shot from the start as fast as possible, led in the final straight, thought Spence was nowhere near him, but then, in a second, sensed him over his shoulder. So what happened was he started running, and then suddenly he thought that Spence is not near him, and he just sensed him and he's just behind him. Over his shoulder means just behind him. At the line with 6 inches between them, Spence failed to pass him, and he won the gold. And this is where Milkha wins his gold. Now, Milkha Singh Ji wins his gold. The stadium erupted. Erupted means people started, shouting and howling and clapping. So erupted with, claps and things. As the Indian national anthem was played and the tricolor ascended, so the Indian flag was there, and it seemed that 100,000 Englishmen rose to their feet. So everybody stood up for the national anthem of India. The sister of Jawaharlal Nehru, Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, she was herself a diplomat, if you know, and she was the sister of the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. She hugged him afterwards, telling him that he had made India the pride of the world. So he was like really proud. Those Britishers who stood to salute him, however, knew almost nothing about him. To them, he was just an exotic person. Exotic means he was, a Sikh, and they don't see people like that. So a village boy with a Sikh top knot who ran with his arms gracefully waving, and usually went barefoot, and he used to run without shoes, barefoot, though for international meetings he wore shoes. They did not know that for him running was not a sport. It was everything: his religion, his beloved, his life. I mean, his life was running, and he was not just a ordinary athlete. As a child, a farmer's son, he ran to escape the poverty of Govindpura in Punjab and to get an education. So he used to run every day to school, and the school was 10 kilometers away. So he used to walk and he used to run across sands that burned so hot in summer that he and his friends would have to jump between the cooling pads of grass. So he used to jump and run and reach to school 10 kilometers every day, coming and going. But at the age of 14 or 15, in the year of partition, 1947, he ran to save his very life. And this is where, India and Pakistan were parted into two countries. The state of Punjab was being split, and between India and Pakistan, and the crowd of Muslim outsiders he knew as neighbors suddenly arrived in the village, and they began killing. And this happened both ways. I mean, it happened in the Indian side also, it happened in the Pakistan side also. The killings happened, leaving mutilated bodies. Mutilated means, just cut off bodies for the dogs, and ordered his family to convert to Islam or die. One night they came with swords and axes to slash his parents' throat. So they came with swords and all sorts of things to just kill the whole family and hack his siblings, cut his siblings to death. His father, dying, shouted, "Run, Milkha, run! Bhag Milkha Bhag. And that is how this, you've seen the movie in which this iconic line about Milkha Singh is also said. Bhag Milkha Bhag was always in his mind when he was running. He raced for the forest, crying. There followed a time of scrapes, and then he was just running. Scrapes means he was getting into troubles, and he was running. When he hopped trains as a refugee means he did not have any country, so he was running to anywhere that would take him, shoeless and starving, and became a petty thief running from the police. Eventually the army took him on, and there he discovered running of a new kind, and then he joined the army. And he was disciplined with coaching, races over set lengths and prizes. The first race he won rewarded him with nourishment, a daily glass of milk. So all the sports people were given extra nourishment, and therefore his life then started becoming positive. The first track he saw decked with flags enchanted him. Now he saw the track, the first cross country race he saw, and the race track that he saw, which was with flags enchanted. He was very, very excited about it in his first cross country. And what is cross country? He did not know. Now, cross country, as most of you must be knowing, but I'll explain, is when you run across the countryside, you don't have a fixed track. So you have a path, but it is around fields and grass and proper roads, and then it again goes into the fields. It could be mountains also. So different parts of the country you have to run through and reach. All right. So that was cross country, and he had been running like that for his life, all his life. He got stomach cramps and sat down. So he started having stomach aches and sat down whenever they gripped him. They gripped him means the stomach aches, whenever it happened, he just sat down and then started running again. But still came sixth out of 400 runners. So he got the sixth position. Sixth was good, first was better. And then he wanted to run for the first. So began the hard necessary work, 6 hours a day. He ran in fatigue time. Fatigue time was the rest time where other Jawans were doing chores. If they were doing their daily work and, bathing and all that. And at night when they were playing cards. So when there was free time for other people, he was working for his running. He labored up steep hillsides. So he used to just run up the hillsides across loose sand to build his leg muscles. And he used to run inside the sand so that his leg muscles could fight it and build up. Honed his upper body, and hone means tightened up his upper body with weights. He ran until he filled a bucket with his sweat, until he urinated blood or collapsed with exhaustion and had to go to the hospital. So he was running until he would just faint. And he took his body to the limit out of pride and for India. So he just crossed all physical bodily limits, and this he did for his pride, for his country. His coaches and his doctor remonstrated every time. Remonstrated, they scolded him that you should not do this, but it was no good. He would imagine a crowded stadium, the wild applause. So he would just imagine his burst across the finish line, the Indian flag rising, and exhaust himself all over again. So he used to just imagine this happening at the stadium and start, just practicing like a crazy person. Iron discipline. He was practicing like an, Iron Man, like that. It paid off. He took 4 golds at the Asian Games, besides the gold in Cardiff, and won more than 70 of his 80 international races. So he got a position in 70 of his 80 races that he participated in. In 1956, at his first Olympics in Melbourne, he was eliminated in the heats, but did not waste the trip. So he could not make it to the finals. He asked the American gold medalist in the 400 meters, Charles Jenkins, to share his training schedule. And for the next 4 years, a chit of paper with Jenkins' world time, 46.7, was propped behind his picture of Guru Nanak Ji as the focus of his prayers. So he wanted to break the world record of the fastest person. In 1960 at the Rome Olympics, his time was 45.6, though less than a minute than the world record holder. It was an Indian national record, but not but it was not a world record because he did not win that 400-meter sprint. Though he led for the first 200 meters or so, and then he slowed, glanced back, and then could not regain his rhythm. 3 runners passed him. It was Spence who, by 0.1 of a second, pipped him for the bronze. So Spence was the guy who just he could not even make it to the bronze. He came fourth. It was the worst day of his life, except only that day when his parents had been killed. So this day when he lost in this 1960 Rome Olympics, that is where he thought it was the worst day of his life, apart from the day when his parents had died. Even the national record he had set was electrically retimed to 45.73, and in 1998 a policeman broke it. But by then he had long retired from competition, unable to ever forgive for that lapse syndrome. He was unforgiving to himself. He, however, did manage to forgive others, but he was open-minded towards others. In 1960, he was invited to Lahore for a meeting, and that would pit him against the champion sprinter of Pakistan, Abdul Khalik. At first, he refused to go. How could he? His childhood home was there, still soaked with blood. So obviously, he could not go to Pakistan because he was feeling very bad. His whole family was killed. His childhood was soaked in blood there. It was Nehru who convinced him that there needed to be friendship between the two new raw nations. The two new nations were raw, means they were young. So he went. And the moment he crossed the border, to his surprise, he was welcomed with flags and flowers. And it was not a negative country for him. They welcomed him. And when he won his race, the Pakistani Prime Minister uh, actually whispered to him in Punjabi that he had not run that day, he had actually flown. And then he gave him the honor. The Pakistani Prime Minister of that time bestowed the honor on him, gave him the honor, the title of the Flying Sikh. And this honor he accepted. And this is what he was known through all his life after that. He took it up joyfully, and so did his fans. He took up the title. It gave him the wings to his celebrity, which peaked in 2013 with the top grossing Bollywood film of his life, and then his movie Bhag Milkha, the Milkha Singh movie that was made on his life. In retrospect, and now when you think back, in retrospect, when you think back, the Flying Sikh was perhaps his favorite honor, though he had also received the Padma Shri, India's fourth highest award for civilians. He was scornful of more common awards like the Arjuna Award that was handed to almost anyone, like a prasad in a temple. So Arjuna Awards and other sports awards and things that he got, he was not very, thing about it because that was given to everybody. Yes, he was happy with the Padma Shri, but the Flying Sikh, the title that he got, that was always his most favorite. As an athlete, he had run for nothing more than his country and his countrymen's applause. He had just run for his country and his people. And despite everything that had happened, he had two countries. But then he belonged to both the countries, India and Pakistan. Wherever he ran, he said both India and Pakistan ran in him because he was made out of both countries. It was as if in Milkha Singh, for brief seconds, they found unity again. So this was a beautiful piece written as an obituary. Obituary is when something is written after the death of the person. This came in The Economist. I'll share the link with you. And beautifully written about him, although many more articles were written. But this conceptualized what he was and who he was. Very short, but very well done. So I hope you got some points here and what to read and how to understand. This was an easy article, but I wanted to do it because I'm myself a fan and all you people out there who love him. So this was from our side to him. Thank you very much. I'll come back with more serious stuff next time. All right, then. So take care, all of you. And bye bye.